Hi, I'm Denise Dunleavy, an animal communicator, intuitive, and empath. If you have ever felt too sensitive or like you're too much, you might just have a superpower waiting to come to the surface. I didn't know what an empath was until I was in my 30s. And by the time I learned the definition, I realized I had been carrying around other people's energy for my entire life. It was starting to drain me. I was feeling physically tired. I was not wanting to interact with people at all. And it really started to affect me. So, the first thing I want you to think about today is, are you an empath? An empath is someone who feels other people's feelings and emotions so intensely that it feels like their own. And they often can't tell if what they're feeling is something they're actually feeling or if it's coming from someone else. Some good examples of this are like when you're laughing, maybe you hear a group of people laughing and you didn't even hear the joke, or you don't know what they're laughing at, but it still makes you laugh too. Or if someone's crying, maybe it makes you cry when other people cry, even though you're not in the same situation that they're in. You just know how upsetting it could be. So, I have some questions that I want you to ask yourself. And if the answer is yes to more than one or two of these questions, you are most likely an empath. But these might be some things that you haven't considered before. So, do you get easily overwhelmed by crowds, noise, or intense situations? Do you require periods of solitude to recharge after social interactions? Do you have strong reactions to smells, sounds, or textures? Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed or suffocated in close relationships? Do you startle easily? Do you have strong reactions to caffeine or medications? All of these things are signs that you are sensitive to what's going on around you. You may not have thought about being easily affected by medications or caffeine or maybe just loud noises, but those things probably affect you a little bit more than most people. Being an empath means your emotional radar is always scanning the room. Maybe your spidey sense is highly active and always on. But if you have ever walked into a room and you could feel that it was anxious or heavy and you don't even know why, that is probably not yours. For me, social interaction is a big one. I can function just fine at a party or in a group outing, but when I get home, I'm exhausted. And then I need an entire day to rest and recuperate from being around people. And so this was really starting to affect how I interacted in the world because I was making excuses to go to events. I didn't want to go out in public. I just wanted to be at home and not have any people around. So, what if I told you that all these strong feelings and emotions you pick up are just intel? It's just data for your tiny computer to process more about the world around you. We're often told to toughen up. But I don't think that's what we need to do. I think that as sensitive people, we just need to release and let go of whatever isn't ours. Everything changed for me with just one question. Is it mine or someone else's? Just remembering to ask the question is probably the hardest part because when I do ask that, I always get an answer. Sometimes I'm not really sure. Sometimes it is mine, but most of the time it leans in one direction or another. So just by asking the question, I can identify that answer. And if it's not mine, I immediately feel relief by just acknowledging it. So that's the first step is just being aware that sometimes you are carrying other people's energy. This is also how I learned that I could communicate with animals. I didn't always know that I could do this. It's not something that I had with me since I was a kid. The first step was really just listening to my intuition. And that's how animals communicate is through intuition. They don't use words, they use feelings and energy. So once I started paying attention and feeling energy, I could tell what belonged to me and what belonged to an animal. So being an empath helped me to become aware of my sensitivity and use that to feel and understand what animals want to communicate. So we're going to do an exercise today, and we're going to use color. I think color is an amazing tool. So if you haven't used it before, please add this to your toolbox. If you have done something like this before, this is just a good reminder to keep practicing because this exercise, I'm telling you, can be really powerful. We're going to walk through it now. So I'm just going to shake it off a little to get recentered. Maybe take a deep breath and just come into yourself. And I want you to think about a time in your life when you felt really good. Maybe it's a celebration, maybe a graduation or a new job or a big move, something that's really exciting. So you're feeling hopeful, you're feeling energized, you're feeling joy. Maybe you just feel on top of the world. And now, what color does that represent? Just use the first thing that pops into your head. Don't analyze it. Don't think about it too much. Just go with whatever comes up. And I want you to sit for a second in that feeling and in that color. So try to figure out what that color feels like right now in this moment. Now, I want you to think about a situation that was not good for you. So think about an argument, a confrontation, maybe sometime you were feeling stressed. Maybe there's frustration or anger or sadness. Maybe you're feeling judged or put down. Just call this to mind with the idea that you are safe. We always want to remember that. We want to do this in a way that you're not bringing up trauma, but you can feel the emotion in a safe way. Like it's right in front of you. And then what color is that? Pick the first thing. Don't think about it too much. What does it feel like to be in this color and feel frustration or anger or sadness? Okay, now I want you to come back. We're going to just shake it out again. Regroup, let go of the feelings that we don't want. And now I want you to think about your best friend. Imagine that they are sitting down at a table right across from you. You're about to have dinner, and give them a color. What does best friend energy feel like? What is the color of that? So you're not trying to identify a feeling. You don't have to name it. It doesn't have to be good or bad. Just give it a color. And how does it feel to be in the presence of that color? Hopefully, it's something you want more of, because we usually choose best friends that we feel good about and we feel good in their presence. So if you don't feel good, that's a whole other issue to look at. But it doesn't have to be good or bad, just a color. And now I want you to think about doing this exercise as you go through the next week. Whenever you're around a person, give them a color. You can assign them a color or just see what color pops up for you and feel into whether that is something you want more of or less of. If it feels positive and you want more of that, then give yourself that color as well. You can surround yourself in that color. You can make it like an aura, or you can imagine a beam of light shining down over you with this color. But think about color matching anyone who feels good to you. And then if someone has a color that you don't want to match, think about covering them in that color and then give yourself a different color and surround yourself in something more positive. So, in that way, you are leaving their energy with them and keeping your energy to yourself. And again, you don't have to know if it's good or bad. Maybe it's a stranger that you just walked by on the street. So you don't have to know what the color means, but know that your intuition is leading you in a direction that says, oh, we don't want more of that energy. So maybe it's not bad at all. Maybe it's just something we don't want more of. It's not what we need right now. This can be really helpful because you can use it to connect with people. So if you're working with someone and say you're not seeing eye to eye, but you really have to work with them, try matching their color. You might find that the communication goes smoother or that they finally start listening to you. And that's because you're connecting to them on an energetic level. It's no longer on the surface and just what we're saying to each other. There's now an energetic level present. And you can do this. Maybe you have a friend who really drains your energy. You still want to be friends with them. Maybe they're a good person, but you want to be able to interact with them and still have energy to do what you need to do. Well, then you can choose the opposite color. And that can be whatever it means to you. It could be that they're red and you choose green, or maybe they're yellow and you choose blue. You might have a system that works for you or certain colors that mean something. The most important thing is just to identify the color and call in more of that. So you're going to choose a color no matter what, whether it's one you want to match or whether it's something you want to be the opposite. This starts to give you a real power over the energy of your surroundings, where you're now saying, this is what I want, or this is what I accept. And while we're doing this, I also have to tell you that you can also put up a shield anytime you need, an energetic shield where it just surrounds you and protects you so that no outside energy can come into your field. And as the that is the responsible thing to do. I don't want to leave you open. And we just set the intention that only goodness and love are allowed inside. And so even while you're doing this, we want to protect you from any energy that's just not helpful. So think about doing these as you go through your day. When I first started learning this, I was taking the train. So I would do this with everyone that got on or off the train. And so I was able to get a lot of practice in right away. So if you don't have an easy opportunity, think about anytime you're in a crowd or anytime you're at a store. Maybe make a special trip to the store just to practice color matching. This way, you're starting to use color as your compass. That is your intuition directing you towards people, things, situations, energy that is helpful and uplifting. And it helps to guard you from some of that energy that is just not helpful. So this really affected my life in a huge way once I figured this out because it did lead me to figuring out that I could communicate with animals, which has now become my career path. So these little steps can lead to much bigger changes. You never know what your superpower is yet. I was almost 40 years old when I figured out I could do this. So it's never too late. Just start practicing. And thank you so much for being here. If you walk away with one thing today, let it be this. Your sensitivity is not something to fix. It's something to honor and learn how to work with. If you want to dive deeper or learn how to connect with animals or trust your intuition more, I'd love to continue the journey with you. I do one-on-one work and I teach classes, and you can find out more about me at intuitivedenise.com.